Welcome down everybody, and I'm excited about this Swing Quest video, which is all about how you can make lots of little tiny small changes, but they add up to a huge difference within your driver swing. Now first up, ladies and gentlemen, you join me down here on the ground where we are looking at the tee, the ball and the golf club. And this is a surprisingly important part of the setup with the driver. Now as you can see, half the ball is sitting above the top line of the driver. So the top edge of the driver is splitting the ball in two. Now the reason that this is the preferred setup for a driver is so that as you come into the ball, you can actually hit up a little bit more. You can actually get the club underneath the ball. If the ball is teed up too high, you run the real risk of that club just slipping and sliding straight underneath and getting a beautiful sky mark on the top of the driver. Now this is not essential. However, if you tee the ball up very high like this, you can actually get an angle of attack which is very, very up, launching the ball high with spin. Although if you are not an experienced golfer, I don't recommend this. And if that tee height is a little bit too low, you can see here how it's lined up with the center of the club face. That normally would be an absolutely fine thing. However, with the size of the driver and the loft of the driver, you won't be able to get underneath this ball. This is going to encourage an angle of attack which is more down. Now on a driver, that is not ideal, especially if you don't have a fast swing speed. The second thing we're going to look at is stance, how your feet are positioned in relation to the ball. Now this is a very important thing with all golf, but with driving especially, because you need a really good stable base to amplify the potential power that you have and also give you balance and stability. Now the best way to establish a really strong stance with the driver is get your aim line, so where you want the ball to start, where you want the ball to finish, line the club up with that point. Now you'll notice here my feet are still together. This gives me a starting point, a consistent starting point when building my stance. What I'm going to do here is just fan my lead foot out, so my left foot out, so it's pointing off to the left hand side. This enables my lower half to turn through the ball a little bit easier. I am then going to take a big step with my right foot until my feet are just outside my shoulder width. This gives me a big, stable, powerful base. If the stance is too narrow, I am likely to sway and I'm not going to be able to generate the same amount of speed and power. If I go too wide, this robs me of maneuverability, and again, I'm not going to be able to produce that power through the ball. It's that fine balancing act. But if you can start from this position, consistently fan, step, get just outside the shoulder width, that builds a wonderful foundation to add that power. Now the stance gives you that powerful base. The posture is the structure which your swing operates around. Think of your stance as the foundation and your posture as your house. The swing is all the fun stuff that goes inside that framework. Now with a driver posture, you want to make sure that you have the right amount of stability and the right amount of agility. So we've already got the stance, and what I'm going to suggest is just adding a little bit of flex to the knees. Now, there's a big difference between bending the knees, having them straight, and just adding a little bit of flex. Now, what that will automatically do usually is get your hips set a little bit back, which we want, and it should straighten up your back. And that's really all we're looking for. That little bit of flex, those hips to be pushed back, that back to be nice and straight, and that is a great structure on which to build your swing around. But something that we want to make sure of is that we have the correct spine angle. Now with the ball being further forward in the stance, what should happen is that as the trail hand goes onto the grip, we add a little bit of natural spine angle, but this doesn't always happen. There's a tendency of golfers to start to lean towards the ball, which flattens the shoulders out and actually gets them aiming off to the left of the target. So a great routine to go through to get a feeling of a complete posture is if you go through that stance. So just fan that left foot out, big step with that right, take the driver, and where the head is positioned, just pop that on the nose so the grip runs straight down the body. Add that little bit of flex into the knees, tilt over so you're ready, you're athletic, and then just drop the right shoulder until the grip of the driver touches the inside of that lead leg. And that will get you into position to apply that power to the drive. Now, aim. This is very, very important. Golf is a target orientated sport, and it's important to understand that. You want to be getting that club face aimed down at your target and your body orientated around that aim line. So the first thing to establish is going to be your target line. Now my target line here, there's a bunker in the distance about 400 yards. So I'm gonna have to take a little bit off this drive to make sure that I don't go in that. But that is my target. I'm gonna draw a line from my ball all the way down to that point. As the club goes in behind the ball, I want to be picking something just in front which sits on that line that I can easily line the club face up to. It's very hard to get the club face precisely aligned to a target which is that far away. It's a lot easier to get it aligned to something which is just in front of the ball. Once I've got that aim, we can use what we've already talked about within this video. So that left foot, get it splayed out a little bit. Take a big step with that right foot so you get that stability. But you'll notice how I move that trail foot straight back. I'm not moved it inside, I've not moved it outside, I've moved it straight back. Now what this does, it puts my toes, my knees, my hips, hopefully my shoulders as well, if we use that little posture guide, on a parallel line to my target line. Best way to think about this is a couple of train tracks running down towards the target. Oh, I just lost my balance at the end. That is so annoying because it's so straight. Oh, it's almost a perfect demonstration. Guys, to continue your swing quest, watch these videos here.